If asked about cryogenics, a few things might come to mind. No, that urban legend about Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen is not true. You might also think about the equally fanciful Planet of the Apes, Demolition Man, or Futurama. Cryogenics is the branch of physics that studies the behavior of materials at extremely low temperatures. It's a field that has fascinated scientists for centuries, leading to many incredible experiments. Besides looking at ways to produce and maintain cold temperatures, cryogenics also involves studying the freezing of materials at cryogenic temperatures. Over the last 2 centuries, the field of cryogenics has advanced substantially. So let's take a closer look at 7 early experiments in cryogenics. 7. 1965 attempted cryogenic freezing of Wilma Jean McLaughlin. In 1965, Dr. James Hiram Bedford became the first person to undergo cryogenic freezing, but he was not the only one to attempt it. Later that same year, a terminally ill woman named Wilma Jean McLaughlin decided to have her body cryogenically frozen in the hopes that she could be revived in the future. However, the process was interrupted when a power failure caused the refrigeration unit to shut down, and McLaughlin's body was damaged beyond repair. Her case highlighted the challenges of cryogenic freezing and the need for more research and development in the field. 6. The 1966 aborted cryo-freezing experiments. In 1966, a physician named Robert Nelson attempted to perform the first cryo-freezing of a human being. The experiment, which was carried out on a dying cancer patient, involved cooling the patient's body to -79 degrees Celsius in hopes of reviving her in the future. However, the experiment failed due to technical difficulties, and the patient ultimately died. The incident sparked controversy and debate around the ethics and practicality of cryo-freezing humans, and the experiment has since been regarded as a cautionary tale about the risks and uncertainties of attempting such a procedure. 5. The 1967 cryo-freezing of Dr. James Hiram Bedford. In 1967, Dr. James Hiram Bedford became the first person to be cryogenically frozen in the hopes of being revived in the future. Bedford, a retired psychology professor, died of kidney cancer and was frozen by a team of experts in California. His body was placed in a container filled with liquid nitrogen at a temperature of -196 degrees Celsius. The idea was that in the future, when medical technology has advanced sufficiently, Bedford's body could be thawed and revived. While this has yet to be achieved, Bedford's freezing marked the beginning of a new era in the study of cryogenics. 4. Dr. Peter Mazur's 1972 hamster tissue experiments. In 1972, Dr. Peter Mazur conducted a groundbreaking experiment involving hamster tissue and cryopreservation. He was able to successfully freeze and thaw hamster tissue without damaging it, using a technique that involved slowly reducing the temperature and adding cryoprotectants to the tissue. This experiment was a major step forward in the field of cryopreservation, as it showed that living tissue could be frozen and preserved for later use. Dr. Mazur's work paved the way for future advancements in cryopreservation, including the successful freezing and thawing of human embryos, which has helped many couples struggling with infertility to have children. 3. The 1972 freezing of Genevieve de la Poterie. The freezing of Genevieve de la Poterie in 1972 was a controversial experiment that aimed to test the possibility of cryogenic preservation of humans. Genevieve, a French woman who died of cancer, was frozen in liquid nitrogen immediately after her death. The experiment was carried out by Dr. Robert Nelson, an American physician, and was the first known attempt to freeze a human. The legality and ethics of the experiment were questioned, and it was later revealed that Genevieve's family had not given their full consent. The experiment was ultimately unsuccessful, and Genevieve's body was later thawed and buried. 2. A team at Monash University. In 1983, a team of researchers at Monash University in Australia achieved a groundbreaking milestone in reproductive science by successfully cryopreserving the first human embryo. The team was led by Alan Trounson and Carl Wood, who used a technique called slow freezing to preserve the embryo. This was a significant achievement in the field of assisted reproductive technology, as it allowed for the preservation of embryos for future use in fertility treatments. Today, cryopreservation of embryos and other reproductive tissues is a common practice, with millions of babies born worldwide using this technology. The work of Trounson and Wood at Monash University paved the way for many advancements in the field of reproductive medicine. 1. The 1983 cryo-freezing of Miles the dog. In 1983, researchers attempted to cryopreserve a dog named Miles. The goal was to freeze Miles and then revive him at a later date, demonstrating the potential for cryogenics to extend the lifespan of living beings. Miles was successfully cryopreserved, but unfortunately, the experiment did not ultimately succeed in reviving him. This experiment raised ethical concerns about the practice of cryonics and the potential for abuse of the technology. Nonetheless, the study of cryogenics continues to advance and is a subject of ongoing research in the scientific community.